Hey everyone, this is a short video meant mainly for the remote development team, but anyone's welcome to listen. I'll put a link of this epic in the description. So I wanted to really quickly talk about our MVC and mainly about the possible confusion or uncertainty around how are people going to use it and what are the expectations of fidelity or how well it is built into the existing GitLab project. So pretty much the VS Code, like the remote development, has two major parts, at least the MVC, and it's the server and it's the client. The server, it's the main point was to build it, and we are more or less done with that, and we are building a server binary that will work okay. But the issue is that the user has to start it by themselves. They have to go. We'll provide scripts, but it's going to be going into the development box, can be any machine, and they will pretty much say start VS Code server here, and then when you connect it to the WebIDE, you say open VS Code in this folder on that machine. I'll draw it in a moment, but that's so there is a server that runs on a machine, but there is no concept of GitLab project on that machine. We are not provisioning or orchestrating anything on that machine yet in the MVC. And so my idea was that we are gonna put a new route like this that's gonna be pretty much throwaway route. And we already can pretty much do this, like have a front end for the server on our WebIDE. WebIDE, where is it? WebIDE, and here we would have an example app. I'll put a link in the description as well. And here you can say is available at, you can click, sorry, no, that's not it. This is the extension, somewhere here should be a link. Here we go. So this is already functioning front end. If we set it up for remote development, you can connect it to any server that we've built and you started. And so my thinking was that this new route is pretty much just going to put maybe not this example starting page, but it's going to put our WebIDE configured for remote development on a separate route. Here it's RDE. And that's it. You configure what host and path it's supposed to connect to as a URL parameters. It's not built into WebIDE. And then I saw that we have, as a part of our MVC, we also have exposing the remote connection through the WebIDE. So now we are talking about moving the web-only, browser-only WebIDE that doesn't have any server backing it. And we are talking about the transition from that to a remote development WebIDE with a server backing it. And then this brings a lot of questions around the WebIDE as we think about it now. The client-only WebIDE is meant to represent one project with a reference. So let's say our main GitLab project on a master branch or on your feature branch. And the server that we are providing now for the remote that doesn't have a concept of a project and reference. It's just user somewhere started the server, and we didn't even check out the project there. There is no Git repository as far as we are concerned, or there might be, we don't know. And so now we are talking about moving the user from the experience of the WebIDE that's already configured for working with a GitLab project, the browser-only WebIDE, and taking them to the to the server that's been provisioned by user somewhere. And this transition kind of doesn't make sense unless we are also orchestrating the remote development environment, and we make sure that the user has exactly that one project there, and maybe we spun up a box for the user. So I might go and do a quick drawing maybe I'll explain myself better. So like how I thought about it is that we have the special route gitlab.com/RDE. In here, we'll have a VS Code instance. That's the GitLab web-IDE project. So we would have WebIDE here. And that WebIDE takes, here there would be some parameters, let's say remote host. And the WebIDE takes this parameter and then connects here to a server that the user provision. So this is some computer, like or VM or Docker image that we don't have any control over. And the user starts a VS Code server here, server, and they will just say expose a port, let's say 8080 here. We'll provide a script. There might be SSL, but for simplicity reasons, this is how I understood our MVC. This is it. And the WebIDE here, the remote host would point to here. So when WebIDE reads this parameter, it connects correctly to the port and it shows whatever VS Code connected to the server. That was my thinking. And the key part here is this URL is the interface. Now, when we are talking about exposing a button somewhere here, then I think that there is a discrepancy between the server being configured by the user, and there is no concept of project. And then we have the client only WebIDE, where we already know that it's going to be gitlab-org/gitlab@master. And user already might have edited some files here. There was the file tree where they had, I don't know, ignore another files, and they already opened one, and they are working on it. And then they open the terminal, and they say connect. And now, like, what's exactly supposed to happen? Because if we take them in from this experience into this experience, they're just going to be completely out of experience, connected to some server that doesn't have to have the project. We can't guarantee it. So that's something that I added on our agenda for tomorrow, and I wanted to kind of do a brain dump of how I'm thinking about it. We can easily do this technical demonstration if we have the separate URL, but I was surprised to see that the expose configuration, which is I imagine the terminal button, I would call this issue, that it's part of the MVC, because then we bring the whole issue of the user flow along for the ride for the MVC. So let's talk about it tomorrow.